Good evening and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, Department of State Services uncovers a large cache of arms and ammunition from a property allegedly belonging to former Benue State Governor Gabriel Suswam in Abuja. The Nigerian Army arrests 3 suspected Chadian Boko Haram terrorists in Gombe State. The All Progressives Congress National Chairman John Oyegun offers reassurances of stable leadership for the nation under the acting president, Yemi Osinbajo. And German Interior Ministry records statistics of nearly 10 attacks on migrants each day in 2016. The Department of State Services says it has uncovered a large cache of arms and ammunition from a property allegedly belonging to former Benue State Governor Gabriel Suswam on number 44 Aguiyi-Ironsi Street in Maitama, Abuja. Aguiyi-Ironsi Way. According to a statement by the DSS spokesman, Tonio Puyo, the operation was informed by intelligence that some incriminating items were stashed in the boot of cars parked at the property. The DSS says after carrying out a raid on the property in the presence of 2 private security officers employed by the company situated within the property, the following items were recovered: a Glock pistol with magazines and a total of 29 rounds of ammunition, a mini Uzi with 2 magazines containing 10 rounds and 4 rounds, 42 extra rounds of ammunition contained in a pack, and 1 AK-47. The search also revealed 21 certificates of occupancy and 1 offer of statutory right of occupancy, 23 luxury designer watches and 45 keys to various exotic cars. The service also warned politicians to desist from making inciting comments that may heat up the system. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Army says it has arrested 3 suspected Chadian Boko Haram terrorists in Gombe State. Now, according to a statement by the Army spokesperson, Brigadier General Sani Usman, the arrest was carried out in conjunction with the Department of State Services after a painstaking effort at tracking the suspects. The suspects, Bilal Muhammad Umar, Bashir Muhammad and Muhammad Begari Abubakar, were arrested at Arawa and Malam Ina areas of Gombe metropolis. They were reported to be members of Al-Banawi faction of the Boko Haram that operates in Chad and mostly northern parts of Borno State. During the operation, Bilal Muhammad Umar attempted to escape and was shot in the leg. He was apprehended and is receiving medical treatment. The suspects, who were also arrested with improvised explosive devices, are currently in custody undergoing preliminary investigation. Our crime stories continue with 2 Germans kidnapped recently in Kaduna State regaining their freedom. A reliable police source reveals that the victims, Professor Peter Brunier and Johann Berger, were released on Saturday night by the abductors in Katari village along Kaduna-Abuja Expressway. Their releases, according to the police, followed intense pressure and surveillance around the forest by the combing team of intelligence response team of the Nigeria Police Force and personnel of the State Anti-Kidnapping Unit. A source, however, did not reveal whether a ransom was paid, but confirmed the victims have been reunited with their families and colleagues. The 2 Germans who were kidnapped on February 22nd in Kaduna's deep forest, where they were said to have gone for archaeological work to discover an ancient town that no longer exists in the forest. The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. John Oyegun, says the nation is still under stable leadership under the acting president, Yemi Osinbajo. He also says he strongly believes in what both the president and the party stand for, which is effective leadership. Mr. Oyegun was speaking when a delegation of the national leadership of the party paid a condolence visit to the Okwosa family in Oraifite in Anambra State on Saturday. He therefore assured Nigerians that the temporary absence of the president does not affect the conduct of government business, as the president had already built a firm foundation for national leadership.
The president is there. He may not be physically with us right now. The nation is on course. No question about that, because we are lucky. We have a very cerebral acting president, vice president, We have a man who believes very strongly in what the president stands for and what the party stands for. And we have an administration that is strong, firm on the ground, and very much in charge. So the temporary absence of Mr. President does not affect the conduct of government business on behalf of Nigerians. Of course, we would like to have him here. Of course, we'll have to have him in good shape, strong, as per the leader of the team. But the fact that he's not here, and the fact that, thank God, he has built a very strong, firm foundation of national leadership. We miss him, but business is going on.
To other matters now, the South African government has reassured foreign nationals of efforts at halting attacks on immigrants in cities across the country. South Africa's Home Affairs Minister, Malusi Gigaba, conveyed the message of peace and reassurance to Sunnyside in Pretoria, an area populated by many African nationals. Mr. Gigaba was a special guest at a church service in the area as part of efforts to douse the anti-immigrant tension which was recorded in the country this month. Our Johannesburg Bureau Chief Betty Dibia reports.
The Lighthouse Church is in Sunnyside, Pretoria. Many foreign nationals live there. It also witnessed anti-foreign attention last Friday.
We ask you to cover us, cover Sunnyside, cover the whole areas in Pretoria, cover Johannesburg and all the other provinces.
South Africa's Home Affairs Minister Malusi Gigaba was the church's special guest this Sunday. He came with a message of peace and reassurance from government.
The main message I want to express to you today is to ask for your help as active citizens, people of influence and leaders in your communities. I ask for the support and help as well as the voice of the church in communicating a message of hope and love among our people, of tolerance and understanding, of goodwill and ubuntu.
His message was clearly well received, but after the service, we asked him the next steps to douse the recurring tension.
I'll be in Johannesburg meeting various stakeholders, talking to the ANC leadership as well, because we need to mobilize as much community leadership as possible to be on the ground, engage with communities, to deal with the challenges that people are raising, to assist us in restoring calm and ensuring that we can sustain this momentum of calm we have seen over the last few days. Then on Tuesday, I will be in Tshwane doing exactly the same thing, talking to religious leaders, NGOs, organizations of immigrants in South Africa.
Things are gradually returning to normal on the streets of Pretoria, but for most of the immigrant population, they're still wary of each new day. From Pretoria, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
I'm being joined now on the news at 10 by the former Minister of State and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Aminu Wale. Here's in our Abuja studio. Ambassador, it's great to have you on the news at 10.
Thank you for having me.
Ambassador, when you see these attacks when you see pictures of these attacks on TV or on the internet or wherever you're watching the attacks take place in South Africa, what usually runs through your mind when you see these pictures? What are you thinking?
Well, it gives an impression that a lot of things are wrong in South Africa. This is not the first time this has happened. It happened about almost 2 years ago, as of today, while I was in office. And I knew exactly what transpired in South Africa. And unfortunately, we were just about leaving. So we are not able to take concrete actions to make sure that we reach an understanding with South Africa. Now, unfortunately, this has been recurring. And the problem is definitely with the authorities in South Africa. But the unfortunate thing is the allegation that the police are not, are colluding. If that is true, is unfortunate, because no responsible government will sit down and see anarchy perpetrated in its own territory, and particularly as affects other nationals that are residing legally in those countries. The reaction of the Nigerian authorities, particularly the Minister of Foreign Affairs, was done based on the normal diplomatic norms. What I will suggest under the current circumstances, in spite of all that was done to address the issue, the government should now send a high-powered delegation to South Africa to meet with the highest authority in South Africa, particularly the president, so that they put in place, in front of the president of South Africa, the feelings of the Nigerian government and the people. And we cannot afford to continue to have attacks on our nationals. That will create a situation where the best of allies are now going to be face-to-face fighting each other. And in diplomatic parlance, this is something which is very, very serious. Because to build a relationship like we have had with South Africa, it takes a lot of doing. And therefore, we should be very careful in terms of maintaining our relationship with South Africa. At the same time, creating an atmosphere in South Africa, together with South African authorities, to protect the interests, the properties, and livelihood of our people, of our Nigerian compatriots who are in South Africa. So I think what the South African authorities are doing, they should have done it a long time ago. I think it's a little bit late, but then better late than never. And I hope this continues the education that is being imparted on the normal South Africans to now understand that it's a two-way traffic. Diplomacy is reciprocity. But of course, when it comes to violence, we don't want that reciprocity to happen. What we want is to build a united Africa. We are all members of the AU. And the African Charter on Human and People's Rights.
Ambassador,
we're all signatories to that charter. We're all parties to that charter.
Ambassador Wali, I don't want you to answer all of my questions, in one at once. But let's talk about the root cause of these xenophobic attacks, these feelings of xenophobia. When the attacks occurred in 2015, I remember that in 2008, beg your pardon, and in 2005, the South African government was supposed to have put in place some recommendations which were supposed to have stalled and prevented attacks like this from happening again. Do you think the government really is attacking the real reason why these attacks are taking place?
Well, we see every country's own type of problems that they face. South Africa definitely has problems in terms of massive unemployment, and of course the threatening recession that is facing South Africa, and therefore there's a lot of problems economically and socially, and therefore they are facing that situation where there's a lot of unemployment, and the promises that were made pre-apartheid, before apartheid is over, are yet to be fulfilled by the people. There are high hopes of good life in South Africa for the people of South Africa. And of course, that's basically what also attracts a lot of our nationals to go to South Africa, because the promises were good. But unfortunately, this has not happened. Therefore, there is a lot of problems which are social, economic, that are facing the current administration in South Africa. And I believe no responsible government, like I said earlier, would sit down and not do anything about that. Now, I think if you follow the developments in South Africa within the last 2-3 years, you see that things are not really going the way they ought to be going. For a country that has a solid base in terms of infrastructure for development, but unfortunately things have not been going well. And therefore, what we are fighting in Nigeria also is what is also happening in South Africa, because we can see the problem of corruption that is also endemic in the South Africa system. So I believe what we should do as Nigeria, we have to try and maintain a good relation so that we can be able to protect our own nationals. Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, the solution to it is that we, as Nigeria here, the government of this country, should certainly send a high-powered delegation, sit down so that at least we can try to see the end of xenophobic attacks on our nationals, because all diplomacy is local. We have to try and protect our people wherever they may be worldwide. And that's basically what diplomacy is all about. I believe South Africa
That's all we have to leave it, Ambassador Wale. Thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10. A pleasure it has been speaking with you, former Minister of State at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Aminu Wale. In part 2, after the break, the federal government reviews visa processes for foreigners visiting Nigeria for business and tourism. That's in a moment. Please join us again.